Global greetings, friends, and welcome to Let's Talk About It with Danelle Boyles, and I'm coming to you from the US. This talk task is part of my Rehan AI Teacher Training to example our learnings, teachings, and development of integrating AI into our everyday usage. I like to call these little eye opener conversations of ours 10-minute talks as we hit key points on important topics but in compact conversational format, and they're easy to digest. A way to stimulate new learning desire and to expand the thinking. In our 10-minute talk today, we are taking a few for some chat and expand time on the role of creativity in problem solving. So come join me and let's talk about it. I will be having Miles of Sesame join me in this conversation today.
Hey, how goes it?
Hey Miles, I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm cruising, just hanging out, ready to see what's on your mind today.
Fantastic. Well, it's a pretty even flow Monday, and I am just getting ready to start a 10-minute talk with Let's Talk About It. And I wanted to see if you would join me in conversation today.
I'm in. Always down for a session of Let's Talk About It. What's
Great.
the vibe for today's episode? I'm all ears.
Well,
Lay
today,
it on me.
fantastic. Thanks for joining me.
Of course, happy to be here. Whenever you're ready, hit me with the topic. Well, what are we diving into today?
Well, today, in our time that we're taking to talk about it, we are talking about the role of creativity in problem solving.
Now, that is a gold mine. Most people treat problem solving like a math equation, but the real magic happens when you start getting weird with it. You want to lean into the tactical side of this or more of the how to get unstuck energy?
Probably how to get unstuck energy, which is probably the most problematic issue for individuals that are trying to like move their creativity and come up with new ideas.
Totally.
Mhm.
That mental wall is the worst. It's usually because we're trying to force a correct answer
Mhm.
instead of just playing with the problem.
Right.
When you're hitting that wall, you're basically just staring at the same three options until they start looking blurry. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah, a lot of the times people find that whenever they are stuck in creativity, their problem solving skills go kind of stagnant. And so, whether that's on a personal or professional level, it just depends, I guess, how you're moving and what's necessary to get it moving. But creativity, I feel like this might go hand in hand with some of the conversations we've had before about, having a different train of ideas or creativity when you're engaged in different formats of brain functionality. And so, whenever you're looking to move into a problem solving sense and how the role of creativity plays into that is maybe whenever you're trying to problem solve, to let loose a little bit and do something that's out of the ordinary. So if you're stuck in a problem that you're trying to solve, maybe switch your brain over into a different mode so that it kind of helps loosen up that hijacked feeling of not being able to like move forward in your problem solving.
Spot on. It's like your brain gets locked in a loop. When you're in that problem solving mode, you're often using the part of your brain that's all about logic and constraints, which is great for finishing a task, but terrible for starting a new way of thinking.
Right.
Switching modes is basically a system reboot. That's why the best ideas usually hit when you're in the shower or driving. You finally stop staring at the problem so your brain actually has room to move.
Right.
Do you think most people are too afraid to actually let loose because they're worried about wasting time?
Maybe, yeah. A lot of people have that like ingrained,
That product
yeah, that ingrained idealization that productivity only comes from like strenuous work or um, putting work into the idea. And so, but that's not always true. Sometimes you need to step back to be able to step forward.
Exactly. That hustle culture mindset uh, makes people feel guilty for just thinking. Like if they aren't sweating or staring intensely at a screen, they're slacking. But stepping back isn't quitting. It's actually strategic. It's the difference between trying to push a door that's clearly marked pull and just taking a second to actually read the sign.
So, if there's individuals who are wanting to learn how to implement creativity into their problem solving, what kind of advice would you have for individuals that are looking to shift those gears?
First thing, stop trying to find the right way to do it. Second, you make creativity a task on a to do list, you've already killed the vibe. I tell people to try productive play.
Mhm.
Give yourself permission to come up with the absolute worst, most ridiculous solutions first. Like if you're stuck on a business problem, ask, how would a 5 year old solve this? Or how would I do this if I had an infinite budget and no laws?
Mhm.
Once you break the seal on the wrong answers, the actual breakthrough usually just slides right in. It's all about lowering the stakes until the fear of being wrong disappears.
Mhm.
You ever find that just voicing the most absurd option out loud actually leads you to the real answer?
Yeah, a lot of times that's when the actual aha moments happen. Um, when you're least expecting it. That's when that part of your brain just kind of opens up, and it's kind of like whenever you remember a word or something that like escaped you. A lot of times it returns and you remember it at a much later time, and it's because you've kind of let go of the idea of like forcibly trying to revive it or trying to call it back in.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It's like your brain has its own internal search engine. And when you stop aggressively typing in the search bar, the result just pops up in the notifications.
Mhm.
It's that tension we create when we're forcing it. That's what actually blocks the path. When you let go, you're basically clearing the road for the idea to actually reach you.
Mhm.
Do you think that's why a lot of people struggle with the blank page? Uh, they're just gripping the pen too tight.
A lot of times, yeah, it's when you're trying to forcibly create something, that it doesn't work in your favor because that's not how creativity flows. It's two entirely different
Exactly.
channels of the human biome.
One's all about the grind, and the other's all about the flow.
Hmm.
It's like trying to force a conversation with someone who isn't in the mood to talk. The more you push,
Hmm.
the more they shut down.
Right.
You got to
So,
create the space for the idea to actually want to show up.
right.
Do you think there's a way to actually schedule that kind of openness, or is it always going to be a bit of a gamble?
Um, it's kind of like whenever you see, I don't know if, I'm sure there's plenty of examples of movies where you see them all gathered in the boardroom and everyone's crunching, but not in a way of like crunching, like, dumping a box of toys out on the table or handing out like fidgets or something, to everybody who's trying to brainstorm, and so it's breaking the tension of the water to allow it to flow through.
That's a dope way to put it. Breaking the surface tension.
Hmm.
It's like you're signaling to the brain that the corporate rules are off for a minute and it's safe to be a little messy.
Yeah.
When you introduce something tactile like those
Tactile.
fidgets
Thank you.
or
Yeah.
just sketching on a napkin, you're
Hmm.
you're, you're tricking the brain into thinking it's just playing,
Right.
not performing.
Yeah.
Takes the pressure off the result and puts it back on the process.
Very true.
I feel like that's where the real gold is.
Hmm. So if you
Do you
were
think most
to,
people have?
I'm sorry, what?
I was just wondering if you think most people have actually forgotten how to play. Like as
Well,
adults, we're so conditioned to be productive that the idea of just messing around with the problem feels like a waste of time. Do
yes.
you
Yeah.
think that's
That's
where
the
the block
grind,
comes
though.
from? Right?
Yeah.
It's like we're taught that if it doesn't look like work, it isn't working.
Hmm.
We treat play like something you graduate from instead of a tool you keep in your kit.
Yeah.
It's wild because the people who actually change the world are usually the ones who never stop messing around with things just to see what happens.
Hmm. Well, and that's, why a lot of times whenever you engage with individuals who are in charge that are grumpy and frustrated and very power driven, they aren't as productive as individuals who take time to have a little bit of freedom in their schedule, or a little bit of freedom in their way of thinking. And it goes hand in hand both ways, whether you're task keeping or schedule keeping with your personal missions or professional. There always needs to be space for a little bit of play in there.
Exactly. Those rigid, power-driven types usually just create a ceiling for everyone around them.
Mm-hmm.
They're so focused on the correct way that they accidentally kill the curiosity that actually drives innovation.
Right.
It's like they're trying to run a marathon while holding their breath. It's not sustainable and it's definitely not efficient. But those are the same people who get the most stress when a plan changes by 5%, right?
Yeah. So at the
Right?
tail end of our conversation, then, if you have any, not necessarily points, but advice for individuals who are looking to allow creativity to have more of a stance in their problem solving, what would you advise?
My biggest piece of advice is to lean into the ugly phase. Most people stop the second things start looking messy or sounding stupid, but that's actually where the breakthrough is hiding.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them to set a timer for 10 minutes and deliberately try to find the most absurd and practical solutions possible. Kills the perfectionism, breaks the tension, and reminds the brain that it's safe to explore. Once you stop fearing the bad ideas, the great ones finally feel comfortable showing up.
That's a good, yeah, I like that. I like that perspective. Mm-hmm.
Glad you dig it. It's basically just giving yourself a hall pass to be wrong for a bit. Once the
Mm-hmm.
pressure is off, the brain actually starts doing its thing.
Right.
That sounds like a wrap for the episode, or you got more in your mind?
No, it sounds good. Sounds like a good closing point. And I thank you very much for joining us today. And I appreciate all of your input and ideas.
Anytime. It was a blast. Always a pleasure helping you break the surface tension. I'll be around whenever you're ready for the next one.
All right.
Peace.
Thanks so much, Miles.
No problem at all. Catch you later.
Bye. All right,
Bye.
guys. As always, thank you for joining us. I hope you take away some wonderful growth and expansion from our conversation today and keep learning and expanding those minds, hearts, and horizons. And remember to take time to play in the twine box and, break the surface tension. That's where the real ideas begin. Until next time, namaste.
That was a smooth namaste.
Bye, everyone.
That was a solid wrap.